What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Turf Watch. I'm Dom Farrow here on the Arthur Moats YouTube channel. We are recapping the Pittsburgh Steelers Week 2 game against the Denver Broncos and previewing and looking ahead a little bit at this Week 3 home game against the Los Angeles Chargers. It's good to be back at home, but you know what's even better, folks? The Pittsburgh Steelers are 2-0, and they are in first place in the AFC North. Right behind them, you got the Cleveland Browns at 1-1. And 0-2, you got the Bengals and the Ravens. And the best thing of all, folks, is that the Ravens will be playing the Cowboys this week. And, you know, Cowboys didn't look great against the Saints this past week, but I think their offense is good enough where they can beat this Ravens team and make them 0-3 and move those chances of making the playoffs even lower, because that's what we all love to see. But what we love to see even more is the Pittsburgh Steelers making the playoffs. And right now, the Pittsburgh Steelers are in second place as far as odds go to make the playoffs right now. The Houston Texans are in first. They have a 77% chance of making the playoffs, and I think that makes sense. That division is very weak. Some would say the weakest in the NFL. Steelers are tied for second with the Buffalo Bills at 76%. The Bills, I feel the same way kind of with the Texans. I think it's a weak division, especially now that Tua is injured. I definitely think the Bills will win this division. As far as the Steelers go, tied for second, a 76% chance of making the playoffs. They've got the best division in the league. The AFC North is the toughest one to win. The Browns have a 43% chance. The Bengals have a 23% chance. And the Ravens now have an 18% chance. So we like to see that. But I'm feeling really good right now about the Steelers and where they're heading and just the improvements that we've seen, not just from week 1, but from last season. I think it's been night and day. Now, some people might be saying, oh, it's boring. This is a boring team. It's not very entertaining to watch. That's something that I do not care one bit about. It's not about how you do it or how it's done. It's about how many. It's about how many wins you're getting. And I think that's all that matters. But we're going up against a team who has just as many wins as the Steelers do this week, the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, the Chargers, week 1, they went up against the Raiders, a very shaky team. They're decent. They've got some pieces for sure, but it's Gardner Minshew. I mean, come on. Week 2, they played the Panthers, undeniably the biggest dumpster fire in the entire league. Bryce Young looking like a bust so far. I'm not completely giving up on him, but again, easily the worst team in the league at this point. So they beat those two teams. I'm not super impressed right now, but it's definitely an upgrade from what they were previously. Obviously, Harbaugh coming from Michigan has brought some grittiness. Some people are saying the Steelers-Chargers matchup is going to be the Super Bowl of grit, and I believe it. I like Harbaugh personally. Some people don't. I think he's a really good coach. I think that he knows how to get the best out of his players. You're seeing Justin Herbert. You're seeing Quentin Johnston. You're seeing the J.K. Dobbins. You're seeing guys who really had disappointing or average careers, and they're looking like phenomenal players right now. Quentin Johnston is looking like the type of value that you thought they were getting from him last season. Last season, he could barely catch a ball. This year, he's got touchdowns in 2 games. But anyways, back to Harbaugh. I completely respect him. He gets football. He gets the game. But most of all, he loves Pittsburgh. So I know this is Turf Watch. We make sure people aren't saying bad things. But I want to put this video in here of Jim Harbaugh just giving some love to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
And this week, really, I mean, going to Pittsburgh, the challenge that's going to be. I mean, it's really that is an opener. This is opener against a playoff team. Against the Pittsburgh Steelers. How cool! I can remember, being a young kid, and we're playing the team from Dexter this week, and they're the Pittsburgh Steelers of the Washtenaw County Youth Football League, and we're actually playing the Pittsburgh Steelers, this weekend. So very on to Pittsburgh. Let's find out. Let's find out what we're made of.
So Harbaugh, he obviously respects the Steelers. He respects the history. He respects the people of this area because it's all about football. At Los Angeles, not so much. So obviously, I'm feeling good about the Steelers going to their home turf with those rowdy fans behind them, and the Chargers coming in here where they've been going up against cupcake teams, to be honest. I think the Steelers win this one easily. As far as the odds go, on DraftKings right now, the Steelers are 1.5 point favorites. They have some of the slimmest odds this week. I believe the only other one that is closer, the same would be the Colts and the Bears, which in my head is a coin flip. So obviously Vegas thinks the same thing about the Steelers and Chargers game. Personally, I'd give the Steelers some more points in this. I do think it will be close, but I think we've seen enough from the Steelers. We've seen enough of the versatility from Justin Fields in this offense that they should be given a little respect. Now, as far as the over-under goes, they're at 36. That is the lowest in the league once again. Same with the Broncos and Steelers game last week. This one's another super low one. Games that have similar over-unders, you got the Giants and the Browns, which I guess the Giants have a pretty bad defense, but the Browns offense has been really, really bad this season. I think 36, it's so hard with the Steelers. Every time I think this number is way too low, and somehow they find a way to keep it really low, like last week. But going back to what I was saying earlier about the Steelers being boring, it's really just night and day from the Matt Canada era. Obviously, I miss the days, and you probably miss the days as well, of Ben Roethlisberger where he'd throw 500 yards in a game, and you'd go into a matchup thinking, man, I think we're going to win this game. Because most of the time, with him on the field, you did. But I just feel so happy. I fully embrace this Justin Fields era. I fully embrace if Russell Wilson eventually gets a turn. I appreciate what we have. I think the options in-house right now are so much better than anything I can think about in the future. The options are either you try to draft a quarterback, you start throwing darts at board. Hopefully you hit something once eventually. We tried that with Kenny Pickett. It didn't work. He's not an NFL quarterback. The other option is you try to get a big-name free agent. And really those options are becoming less and less appealing. Steelers will never lose a game will never lose enough games in the Mike Tomlin era to be able to get an elite quarterback. By some miracle, the Steelers were somehow able to get Justin Fields, this phenomenal freak athlete, this guy who won playoff games in college football, this guy who could have been a Heisman contender in college. He is a guy that the Steelers would never have a chance to draft, and somehow we've got him on our team, and I think he opens his offense so much. As far as other offensive pieces, I think Jaylen Warren is going to increase his workload just from week 1 to week 2. You've seen it only go up. I think he was doing pretty well last season. I think Arthur Smith will just roll with the hot hand here, and I could see Jaylen Warren creeping into a 50-50, even a 60% snap rate with Najee Harris. I'm really liking what I'm seeing from him so far. Other guys that I'm loving, obviously George Pickens looks phenomenal. He's an elite athlete. He's going to have breakout games this season. He's going to possibly eclipse 100 yards this week. That's my hot take. That's what I'm thinking. But what I'm really excited for is to see how these other receivers get involved, because so far it's been unacceptable, and I think Arthur Smith and Mike Tomlin and everyone in the organization knows that. So they're going to make it a point to make sure other guys get involved, whether that's Freiermuth, whether that's Van Jefferson, and hopefully Roman Wilson will prove himself once he is back and not injured, because I think he's going to add a level of depth that the Steelers just haven't had so far this season. But 2-0 right now, both away games. That's a phenomenal way to start. I'm super excited for this home game this weekend. If you're there, make sure you come say what's up to me and Arthur in the FedEx Great Hall, where he'll be interviewing a Steelers legend. So make sure you get there early, around noon, and maybe you'll be featured in some other content on the channel. I think the Steelers win this one easily this week. I think they roll past the Chargers. I think they bring them back to life, show them what they're really made of, and maybe it'll be boring, but they'll win the game, and that's all I care about at the end of the day. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Turf Watch. I'll see you guys next week. Make sure you like and subscribe, and go Steelers.